Thanks so much for tuning in.
I am Sheila, the She and SheRo.
And I am Ron and Renee, the Ro and SheRo. And today we're talking about...
Should the man lead the relationship?
This is juicy.
So this sort of gets into that discussion about should a woman submit, but I didn't really want to use that terminology.
I know, it's so taboo now. It's like, girl, it's okay. Pipe down. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me clear from my perspective. There is nothing wrong with a woman submitting to her man if he shows and proves to be a strong leader that allows you to submit because you can follow him and trust his decision making. Not that he's going to be right all the time. You have to lend grace to him being imperfect because he's human. However, if the effort is there, acknowledge that and embrace that and allow him to flourish in that right.
Agree. And see, I think it all boils down to the definition of submission. So I think that's where the taboo comes in with the definition. So my definition of submission is essentially, as Ron sort of stated, allowing the man to lead the relationship. That doesn't mean he controls everything, because in my opinion, a pillar for me in order to be able to submit in a relationship is trust. That's like primary. I have to be able to trust the man that I'm with, but then I also have to feel respected by that man. And so with that comes, if he knows he's facing a decision and you're better at it, or either making the decision or getting something accomplished, then he relies on you to do that as being on a team, so to speak, or as the partner. So your submitting is essentially just giving him the lead to be able to make those decisions and decide, I got this, or I'm going to pull her in to help with this, or in that sort of thing. So it's not necessarily that you just take a back seat and you don't get to give your opinion. If he really loves you, cares about you, and respects you, he's going to value your opinion. He's going to get your input.
Essentially you're partners. But, even with two people being in a partnership, somebody has to lead.
Yeah.
Because the other person got to watch the other person's back. So I'm going to let you lead, but, I got this back here. I got this on the other side. I just need you to lead us down where we're going. And I'll warn you of what's coming around the corner,
Yeah, I get it.
So I think that women being so strong in the culture and society that we have now, they feel like they are relinquishing their power or their right to be a leader. And it's not that a woman can't be a leader next to a man who's a leader or next to a man that she submits to. I think that men are innately that way. And so for me, I kind of synonymize that with his masculinity, his ability to lead. Because I think it's something that naturally comes to them. But they also have to be sometimes taught how to do that, because some people or some men have it more innately than others. But I think that from creation, that's how they were supposed to be. However, a woman has a lot of influence. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So the influence can come from the mother. It could come from the grandmother. It could come from, aunts and sisters and things like that. So again, it's a double-edged sword, because one cannot be something without the other. If it's just him by himself, who is he leading? Himself? Yeah, only but so far. I mean, my ultimate leader is my God. But, in the carnal sense of it, it's still, this is somebody, I want somebody to follow me because I'm going to lead them down a path that is healthy. Even if there are things that come up or things that happen that we can't foresee coming or perceive happening, the intention and the effort is to be the best leader so that we're all protected and we win.
But let's talk about why this is difficult for some women. You touched on it a little bit. So for me, and I'll just give my personal perspective, because you had asked me 5-6 years ago, I'd have been like, I ain't leading no man nowhere. Like, what you mean? And I think it comes from, I'm an A personality. I'm an alpha female, so to speak.
Absolutely.
I'm always taking charge. I'm the strong friend, so, and I think for women like me, it's difficult for us to shift when we get home, so to speak. We're at work. We're kicking ass and taking names, I take a couple of days off and I'm getting text messages and emails on my personal phone because, even work doesn't seem to be able to function without me. And then I come home and then it's like I have to code switch almost or shift perspective because now I'm not the leader in my home anymore. And for me, we talked about this ad nauseum, but it boils down to trust. I have to trust that the person who's leading the relationship is going to make sound decisions. They're going to make mistakes. They're human. But I have to be comfortable that they care as much as I do because I'm the type of person who I'm going to devote the time and energy necessary to make sure things are right. And if I make a mistake, it's just that. It's not because I was lackadaisical about it. It's not because I was like, that doesn't matter. It's insignificant. It's going to be because I gave my best effort and it just didn't work out that time. And I need the man in my life to be able to show me that he's going to do that same thing. Because otherwise, I'm not comfortable that I should relinquish that. Yeah. So I think it can be difficult for women in this generation to have to be a leader in so many areas of their lives. They don't just get to sit at home and take care of the kids and cook and clean anymore. Like they're not out in the world all day, every day, making important decisions that impact lots of lives and then have to come home and try to be docile. But I really think that it's our role. It's the way we were created. We were created with male and female energy for a reason. I believe that leading is a masculine energy role. I think that as women, we're called to soften the tone when it's necessary. So it's like, if a conflict arises or something occurs, you take the step back. And so I know a lot of women, when I have these conversations with men, they always try to say, well, if somebody breaking in the door, you ain't gonna be the one who want to go. You dang on right. I'm gonna be upstairs in the closet under the bed with the kids.
The strap, cause I'm trying to tell you.
I'm gonna let him handle it. Now,
well, if he's there, but
well, yeah, if he ain't there, I'll have to figure it out.
But if he's there, but even if he is, you get yours, and then I got the backup over here.
I'm gonna have your back, but you trust and believe. I ain't getting my little. I'm not getting in front of you.
No,
you over 6 feet for a reason. And I'm the short one. So guess what?
But I'm gonna be on the side like, we ready. Come on, let's beat this out. But I also think a lot of the foundational things about women in this day and age being so headstrong and being leaders in their own right is because our mothers and some of our grandmothers were single parents, and so they had to fulfill both roles. So a mother, a daughter, seeing that as a child, she's emulating that behavior because that's all she's seen. And that's across the board with anything. Whoever her mother was, that's what she's emulating most times because that's how the human brain works. Whatever is impressed upon us, we tend to play that out in some shape, form, or fashion. People change, behaviors change. You may see things differently and decide that something you grew up seeing is not something that you want to embody or that you want to, practice in your own personal life as an adult. However, it doesn't change the fact that that's what you saw. So there's still an influence there, whether it's an influence to adapt that ideology or not to adopt it. But I think that, and this is a whole nother conversation, but, the question is, why are Black men going after other race of women? And my personal experiences from hearing them speak, men who date outside of our race, Black men who date outside of our race are just like, well, I don't get all the attitude and I don't get all this and all that. And I'm like, I get it. I said, but those other race of women don't have the same struggle that we had, or that don't have the same struggle that our mothers and our grandmothers had when, the war on drugs and, racism, discrimination kept our fathers from being able to provide. So a lot of times men, when they're not able to provide and do what is innately in them to do, they shut down. So then they leave the home because they can't face the fact that I can't even provide for this family, so I'm no good, so let me just leave. You know what I'm saying? So then the mom is stuck thinking, oh, your dad just walked out, when it probably wasn't because he just decided he wanted to walk out on his family. I haven't come across a man who woke up one day and was like, I want to leave my family that I was intentional about having or that I wanted to create. But if I can't get a job, or if the job I'm getting is still paying me is not paying me enough to support my family, I can't handle that. So then they turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol, they turn to gambling, they turn to other things to occupy their attention because they've also been taught that they can't express their feelings, that they can't be vulnerable. They have to be a man and they have to be macho, but they're still human. So they still have to be able to process these feelings in a healthy way so that they don't turn to just leading to an understanding of, I can't deal with it, it's too much, so I'm going to remove myself from the situation. So then it goes back to the mom having to be the mom and the dad and fulfilling both roles. So then the daughter sees that and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go out, get my degree and get a job, and I'm going to be up there with all the rest of the white men or whoever's sitting on the board. You know what I'm saying? And show them that I'm equivalent. And so it's like that mindset of wanting to be equal in the workplace because the struggle that the mom or the grandmother had doing menial and mediocre things because they can only do with what they had. They didn't have the education. They didn't have the resources. They didn't have the know-how. And so I think it's just a cycle that's perpetuated. But I think that that's like the historical stronghold that is there from my perspective and my vantage point. And when I explain that to a person who dates outside of his race, he was like, his mind was blown. He was like, damn, like, I never thought about it that way. I said, the white woman in America, her struggle is not the same. Let's keep it funky. I said, so yeah, you're going to get the best version of her because she doesn't know, she's not giving you any strife because she didn't have a reason growing up to have her guard up. Because she was always pampered and pushed in the right direction and always given these things and didn't have to struggle for nothing. Their families had trust funds. Then they went to college to find, like somebody told me, white women go to college to find a husband and black women go to college so they don't need one. He said that to me and I was blown away. I was like, wow. Interesting. I was like... I was speechless for a moment because it makes sense to me, but it was almost like he was, like he enjoyed, I guess, the notion, like he relished in that. And this is coming from a black man, and I was just like, wow, that's what you think?
Well, to be perfectly honest, Ron, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I mean,
I don't either, but it was like, damn.
When I think back, because where I went to college at, we were the minority. And when I think about my white friends from college and my black friends, white women, in comparison to black women, generally are, how do I put it? They seek to be married or chosen or to get married. Whereas black women in general, and obviously there's exceptions to both, we don't. We look for our own individual success that is in no way, shape, or form tied to a man. And I by no means intend to suggest that it should be any different. But I'm saying I feel like in our community, being in a marriage is not a goal for us as women. It's like we've been, I don't want to say we've been raised, but we've been conditioned that our success is, us tying success to a family is almost frowned upon now. It is. Like you got all them kids. All they do is make babies. It's like, well, what's wrong with that if they together and that's what they want to do? Exactly. And I also believe that as much as, you talked about our struggles, you talked about those generational things that are passed down and have kind of conditioned us to be a certain way. I think that naturally at our core, we all want to submit in our relationship. But the approach is going to have to be a little bit different for a woman who navigates the world and society a lot differently than our ancestors had the pleasure or our other races continue to have the pleasure of being able to do. And so with that, just going back to what I said before, I think trust is important. You have to establish trust. She has to be able to trust you in order to be able to follow your lead. She has to be respected. She has to know that when you know she's got the juice, you're going to call her up on it and not be like, have this ego trip where you're like, I'm the man of the house and I'm going to just figure it out. And even when I don't know, I'm going to act like I know because I don't want to go to her. She needs to know that you're going to come to her and value her opinion and perspective, especially when you know that she has the better know-how or knowledge in this particular situation. And then I just think it needs to be, I don't want to say loved into her in a way. Like, I feel like, at least for me, like in my current relationship, I'll just speak to that real briefly. Early on, it was very difficult for me to allow him to do things for me. I almost feel like he had to force it on me, but it wasn't like he forced it. He just would start doing things. He didn't ask me. He didn't wait for me to ask him. He would just start doing things. And then I just naturally fell into this situation where I'm like, it feels like it's like I'm where I'm supposed to be, so to speak. It's like I've been wearing this S on my chest all these years, and I don't like it. I didn't know I didn't like it. I was doing it. I was out saving the world.
Until I was able to put it down. Like, I was like,
where's Clark Kent? Because I don't have time for this. Like, I don't want to do this for real. So I think that just having the experience of having a man show up for me and assert himself as a man in that way allowed me to be who I naturally wanted to be anyway. I still struggle with it. Like, there's still certain times and certain things where I'm like, I want to, take charge, but me being in that position where I can be submissive and just allow him to take over, it feels natural for me. And so I would please stop writing off Black women because, we know we
love y'all.
We got a mouth on us, but we do love y'all, and we can be more docile. We just need certain things in order to be able to do that.
Absolutely. I agree. Because, I could be real strong and real assertive and sometimes aggressive, depending on where my trust level is. And that's just with people in general. But I also feel more comfortable and feel more of being myself when I'm the sweet version of me. And that's actually what my name means. And people who really know me, they see that side of me a lot more than a stranger. Like we have this joke. Well, I have this joke with people who really know me. I'm sweet as pie, but I'm not friendly. I'm not a friendly person. Meaning, I'm not the one that's I can be outgoing when I have to be. But if I'm in a setting where I don't have to, I'm usually going to read the room first before I open my mouth. Because I want to know who it is that I'm dealing with, who's in the room, what is the atmosphere, and the environment and things like that before I infiltrate myself, because I'm just going to be me regardless. So I would rather be my most authentic self as opposed to having to be reserved in a situation if I'm forced to be there. But I think being friendly and being a sweet-hearted and kind-hearted person are two different things. And so being as strong as I am and as headstrong as I am as a woman, I still desire to just relax and just be sweet and, hi, baby, that kind of stuff. That's what I want to do. I don't want to be like, okay, bro, so what's up? Did we, I don't want to do that. So it's a twofold thing. Men need certain things from women to be the best version of them, and I think vice versa.
Absolutely. So with that, I'll give my game piece for today. Well, I have two pieces. So for the women, I'm going to say, let a man be a man. And the second piece of that is going to be, just try it. Like, I feel like people are probably throwing things at the audio right now because we don't want to hear anything about being submissive to a man. We don't want to hear anything about being docile or anything like that, but just try it, because at least for me, it was a relief when I finally relinquished that. It has to be to the right person. Don't follow anybody off a cliff. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But definitely, when you are in a relationship where there's mutual trust and respect, give it a try. I almost can guarantee you're going to feel more in your natural place. And for the men, don't give up on your Black women. We've been through a lot. Personally, we've witnessed a lot. Our ancestors have been through a lot. A lot of that is generational.
You guys have been through a lot.
You guys have been through a lot, but pour into us and we'll pour back into you the same way.
And that was leading into my game piece of give the respect and earn the trust. But earn the trust on both sides. Earn the trust of your partner and allow your partner to earn your trust as well. All right. I think
awesome.
That's it.
So with that, I am Sheila, the She and SheRo.
And I am Rhonda Renee, the Ro and SheRo. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thank you. We're out.